The Truth Be Told by Ishah Binah. Chapter 5. God's Eyes. How many eyes does God have? It is written that God has very many eyes. Also, that his wings are filled with eyes within and covered without. Most people would be absolutely terrified to witness any living being with more than two eyes and located in uncommon areas. We would likely not be comfortable with seeing such a one at first. What might his eyes look like? We see vast contrasts in the types of eyes among creatures in the earth already. Does God's eyes have to look like any of our eyes? Our eyes are white, slippery balls with a dark colored circle on them. Does God have a whole bunch of white, slippery balls like that in his wings? Eyes can be different shapes, colors, and textures. We are made of flesh. Therefore, we think in terms of things made of flesh. Flesh is tangible. God is a spirit. Everything about him is spiritual. Though he can be tangible, much about him is not tangible. With that being said, now reimagine his eyes, not as flesh, but as spirit. What might a spirit look like? So, we read the Bible and rehearse the words. Some of us make a solid attempt to do to actually do what we perceive the words are telling us to do. This is great work. But what for? Well, there are many reasons. Who can find them all out? However, one major reason is that we have to be at a certain skill of obedience in order to stand in the presence of the power of God. We need to be able to do exactly what He tells us to do when He tells us to do it and love it. This is the way He loves us. He instructs us in His power, allowing us to positively experience His might in whatsoever magnitude we can tolerate. Our obedience to God is the vehicle that He will use to allow us to fly or leap over a wall or any other thing one may desire to do. We will surpass all boundaries by receiving and following His instructions. All hearts should be open to receiving His instruction. Some may clench up for fear of the unknown. What will he instruct me to do and why? Might be the thought. This is why we must trust him. Trust that every instruction he gives us is enormously positive for us and learn to do exactly what he says. He will teach you to profit. We put trust in man to teach us things. Some of us obey all their instructions to a T. Some of us will learn a new skill and establish an entire career out of following some instructions that someone wrote in a book, which is an amazing accomplishment. What if someone applied that same dedication to obtaining skill from the most highest power while he will still welcome us to do so? The reason why you die when you see God is mysterious. Has He not made us in His image? Why then can we not behold Him? Yes, we are created in His image, that being that if we were to see the image of God, His image would look very familiar to us because He made us in the same shape. Many of us know what an image is. Anyone that has ever played with their shadow to make the shape appear as something that it is not has had hands on experience with what an image is. An example of this would be such as holding up two fingers and referring to your shadow as an image of a bunny. When you hold up two fingers and tell someone, this is a bunny, your shadow can be clearly seen and well known by anyone and not to really be a bunny. But it does look just like a bunny. In this case, you have formed a shadow in the image of a bunny. The same shadow image concept can be applied to the understanding of how God has made man in his image. When you see God, well, when I saw him, he looked a lot like a man. He had a head, neck, torso, arms, legs, hands, and feet, positioned and sized according to what is common in the anatomy of men on earth. His attire was so cool. He was outfitted in ashy black denim. To top it off, the coolest beat could be heard at the perfect volume. The experience was the dopest ever. He gradually appeared before me. He faded in a little, then faded out a little. But then he faded in a little more. His visibility, I mean. At first, I questioned, what man is this I'm seeing? But as I looked on and he continued to fade in, I could clearly see that this was not a man. Intense fear began to overwhelm my heart as I looked upon him. I did not know what to do. It was because of the fear that I felt that I began to ask within my heart, is this God? He faded out and in for about a minute or so, it seemed, until he was fully revealed. I beheld him. I looked upon him. I stared at him. I knew exactly who I was looking at. Though his image is reminiscent of man, his physique is far more superior. The one detail that remains etched in the vividness of my memory is his muscular composition. His muscles are composed in a manner of many layers. He has muscle on top of muscle, as though his muscles have muscles. The greatest bodybuilder in this earth would appear as loose meat next to him. There is no comparison. The reason why we die when we see God is because of his power. We have to know how to obey his power. When we see him, there is a way to behave so that we do not die. The instructions are simple. This is what you must do when he lets you behold him. Step number 1, smile. Step number 2, bow down. Step number 3, put your face all the way to the ground. When he lets you behold him, this is what you must do. The instructions as I said, are simple. They are so simple that it would be a damn shame for anyone to receive this information and then die because they saw God. Also, listen up. Jesus is God. When he appears before everyone at the last day, you will need to know to do the 3 steps that I have described. Listen with your heart and hear. This is the most important part of my message. In fact, it's my only message. Yes, I told you who I am, but proving to you who I am is not the purpose of my mission. If that's too hard for you to hear, don't think about that part right now. Just be prepared to be in the appropriate position when you see Jesus Christ.